Community Book Center, may I help you?
Hey, Mama Vera.
Hey, how you doing?
Are you ready for the interview?
I'm Dr. Brooks. I work at NOCA. I teach 10th grade science.
My name is Mike Friedman. I'm the co-owner of Pizza Delicious right here in the Bywater. Pizza D got started a few years back. I think about 9 years ago we thought of the idea. Me and my friend Greg are from New York originally. We both came down here for school, met at Tulane, and we're always whining about how the pizza in New Orleans totally sucked. And we have great pizza in New York. We're like, if anyone figured out how to make good New York pizza, they'd probably do really well here. And and we started figuring it out. We started experimenting, started making dough every week, and we set a deadline for ourselves. And in February 2010, we started our pop-up Sunday nights only, doing pizza one night a week, and it was awesome. And now we've had a brick and mortar location for like 5.5 years, which is super fun.
My name is Dr. Angela Watkins. I am an English instructor at the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts.
What New Orleans neighborhood do you live in?
Currently, I live in the Lower Garden District. The first time I lived in New Orleans, I lived in Algiers.
I'm Vera, V-E-R-A, Warren, W-A-R-R-E-N, Williams. My business is Community Book Center.
Oh, can you tell us about a little bit about Community Book Center?
Community Book Center was founded in 1983 to provide African American children a selection of books and other educational materials that had positive images of themselves, their history, and their culture. We're located on Bayou Road in New Orleans. We've been here since 2003. We are a community space and place where children and people and everybody pop in and drop in.
My name is Burnell Cotlin, C-O-T-L-O-N, and I'm the owner of the Lower Ninth Ward Market.
Okay. And what New Orleans neighborhood or hood do you live in?
This is the world-known and world-famous New Orleans, Louisiana, Lower Ninth Ward. This business here is very, very unique. It's the first and only, I'm going to say that again, the first and only business in my neighborhood. The closest grocery store, laundromat, or sweet shop from where you're standing, you have to catch the next city. You actually have to catch 3 city buses to get to Walmart in Chalmette. That's an undue hardship. In this building here, I have a barbershop, a hair salon, a sweet shop, a very, very important grocery store, and thank you to Ellen DeGeneres, and I have a laundromat.
My name is Dale Baxter. I'm an artist, musician, and massage therapist. I live in Old Algiers.
My name is Laura Stein, and I'm the co-founder and executive director of Dancing Grounds. Dancing Grounds is a nonprofit arts organization. It's located on St. Claude Avenue in the Bywater 9th Ward area. And our mission is to bring inclusive and accessible dance education programs to all ages. We see dance as a vehicle for developing young leaders, promoting wellness and health and social justice. It started in 2012, so 6 years ago, right a little after when I moved here from New York. And it started out of my living room. And when I moved here, I was looking for dance classes and couldn't find a lot for adults, so I started teaching in my living room, and then it kind of grew from there. And 2 years later, we moved on to St. Claude.
Are you from New York?
I'm from Philadelphia originally, from Lower Merion, which is right outside of West Philly, of Kobe Bryant fame. That's how most people know it. Yeah, and then I went to Wesleyan University in Connecticut, and then I moved to New York and lived there for 8 years before I moved here.
I've traveled a lot. I've actually lived in Europe for a little while, and I always came back here because I missed my family, I missed the food, I missed the culture, I missed all the things that I grew up around, and I wanted to be back to it, so I always came back.
What do you think is one of your favorite parts about being in New Orleans?
Oh man, the food. I can't get enough of the food. I grew up in a largely black Creole family, and the food was always a part of every celebration, every get-together, every funeral, wedding, what have you. And so that was something that always kind of tied us together, was coming back around food.
Do you think that's why a lot of people flock to New Orleans?
I think it's part of it. I think a lot of people come for the culture because they come and they see that we have things that have been around for hundreds of years, and other places don't necessarily have that. And so I think they're really interested and intrigued at the way that we do things.
I love New Orleans for so many reasons. Going to college here, it's like totally eye-opening to me. It's so completely different from New York. I love how much slower it was and how people are just so much more relaxed in so many ways. I love the food culture and all the dishes that come out of the city, the incredible music. I feel like it's all the reasons that everyone says they always love New Orleans. It's the same reasons I love New Orleans, but I really love it. I'm still here. I've been here 14 years. It's awesome.
It's an important cultural site in the nation. It's one of the few cities that has preserved its colonial culture. It's an important part of black culture. It is the birthplace of jazz. There's a lot of history as well as a lot of politics that inform the way we look at different social issues. The first time I lived here was for a year between 2012 and 2013 when I came here to write my dissertation based on the literary representation of voodoo in Haiti and New Orleans. I returned in 2016 to accept a position at NOCA.
I love New Orleans because New Orleans first loved me. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I grew up in the lower 9th Ward, below the Industrial Canal, educated in public school system, and I love the people and the culture of community and neighborhood that I grew up with, close-knit people caring for each other, one another. So I think that's, I love the weather, I love the food, I love the culture, I love New Orleans.
Do you think with that type of intimacy and that like this beautiful culture, that's why people love to come here?
I think that that's part of the draw and that's part of the attraction. But if it's not really a part of you, it don't last long. The luster of that life doesn't last long, and I think that's what we're encountering now with the New Orleanians who are attracted to the city for its culture, for its climate, and cuisine. They revert back to their usual selves, being cold and selfish.
This is where I was born and raised. The only time I left New Orleans is when I lived my childhood dream out of being a military police soldier. And right after I graduated from Francis C. Nichols, I joined the United States Army, and I was a military police soldier.
How long have you been living here?
my entire life. The next time when I came back from Germany, I had to come right back home. This is home sweet home, back to the Lower Ninth Ward.
I love New Orleans because it is the type place that will challenge you, your humbleness and what you can deal with in this city, as far as racism, that type of stuff.
Okay. Is that why you don't like New Orleans, because of the racism? Or?
Well, I surely don't like racism, but you're gonna deal with it all over this world. I think in New Orleans it's hidden. Sometimes it's up front. So it's a good place to deal with both sides of it.
Okay. How long have you been living here?
I've been here for 52 years.
Were you born here?
Yeah, I was born at Charity Hospital.
Okay.
In Old Algiers, it was a beautiful place when I grew up. It was always a mixed neighborhood. In the 80s, you can tell the difference when drugs came in, crack cocaine came into the neighborhood. Things started changing. You saw your elders were no longer able to sit on the porch with the young guys selling drugs and stuff like that. It changed the dynamics of the neighborhood. People start moving out. And after that passed over, it's starting to come back, little by little. After Katrina, you saw a big change. When we were able to come back to the city, I noticed there were a bunch of abandoned lots and stuff like that. And most of those lots were taken by a company, a corporation. And each one of the lots, when I found out later, they were a lot that belonged to somebody that was deceased, that they had no heirs to take over those lots. So in a way, it was like a little conspiracy to take a bunch of those properties. Then you start seeing people building on those properties like a company in order to sell back to people in the neighborhood, just a plot to make money. And it dismantled the neighborhood in a way. So the key was to try and get the homeowners around that area to take over some of those lots and buy some of those lots. A few people started opening up, like they say, opening up a can of worms. And once that started happening, you see a bunch of those people found out that they would go to jail. So all of a sudden, they start selling the lots back to the neighbors and stuff like that. Or when NORA got the lots, the New Orleans Redevelopment Association, they start doing the lot next door program and stuff like that. So
what is that?
It's if you have a home and you have a empty lot next to you that nobody takes care of or don't cut the grass and stuff, you can be you can be able to buy that lot or purchase that lot for cheap, or you can get that lot for free because you own the home next to it.
Okay, well, did this program help your community?
Definitely. Once that came out, it helped. It kept the fabric of the neighborhood intact, where you don't get a bunch of people just building on properties and putting anybody in the properties like the Airbnb. When that stuff came about, it really messed up some neighborhoods, I think, because you got people just coming in for a couple of nights. Some of them do drugs, and some of them bring drugs, and they'll spread it in your neighborhood. When you know your neighbors and you have that type of fabric, makes a neighborhood strong, like a family.
I love when I first came here about 10 years ago, and what struck me immediately was that people would say hello to each other on the street and talk to each other, which is something like in New York. For 8 years, I was living in a place where everyone was just like run, and too busy to kind of enjoy life. And literally from like the moment I stepped off the plane, I felt like, oh, these are like my people, because I like talking to people and just seeing other people in that way. And then, of course, being a dancer and musician, loving the culture of music and dance and all the joy and fun of that. And I think it kind of has the least American feeling of any city in America. I had actually been living in Cambodia for a year and then moved back to New York and really wanted to be somewhere where people appreciated, it's like you work to live, you don't live to work.